Hi, my name's Josia Cornwise. I am here wondering why you opened this particular seminar. Embodying your intuition to lead your life to where you want to go. So many people get on these talks to try and feel inspired, to feel uplifted, to feel motivated, to listen to what other people have to say so that you can learn from them a better way to live your life. I want to teach you the opposite. I want to invite you to believe, recognize, own, and find out that you actually have everything you need inside of you right now, but you just haven't learned to listen, to move with it, to embody it, and to direct your life with it. Lead it. I am going to do something very strange. I'm going to introduce you to my left eye. I've never done this. Hello. I am showing the world my left eye on screen. Blind since birth in my left eye. Looks different. It's kind of blue-gray, slanted differently. Well, you can imagine since birth, I got the message from the outer world, whether they meant to or not. Oh, did something happen to your eye? Did you get a bug bite? Are you cross-eyed? What's wrong with you? Are you blind? Are you deformed? Little kids would be like, what's wrong with her? What happened to you? So even if I was taught to feel great, the world would reflect that there's something wrong with me. There was no way I was gonna get an impression that I had the perfect anything when you come out with a deformed quality. Now, that's just the external one. Believe me, I had lots of other things to work with in my story too, as I'm sure you all do. But I bring this up to point out that for me, understanding that my primary story had an idea that I was defective, that I would never be enough, that I certainly couldn't be sitting here on a TEDx stage, on a screen, with my face, pictures all over in media. If you had told me that this was what was going to happen when I was a young adult, there was no way I would have believed you. But if you had asked my little girl, what did she feel? She knew she had so much magic inside. She wanted to share her love, her joy, her communication, her compassion, her dancing with the world. But that got squashed so early on. That's not the only tough story I have. And it's really not about my story, but I bring this to you because all these experts out there might tell you ways to change, but I'm going to tell you that your first step is to go back inside your own story and find out what is that core message that you have. Because if you're not currently living the life you are dreaming of, it is still in control. And if it wasn't that early one, it might have been a later one. I had to learn at some point to listen to my intuition. I was scared of it because it would tell me terrifying things. I was forewarned before I got the phone call that my brother had been killed. I was forewarned not to marry someone while I was at the altar. And did I listen either of those times? No. One, there was nothing I could have done something about. The other, I learned that my journey was to marry myself. And what does that mean? It means ultimately to learn to listen to what's inside of us and not look outward for someone else to be a better teacher of that than you. But that can get tricky when you have any kind of trauma, whether that happened, whether you had like neglect or abuse or a real serious, intensive external trauma in the world. That stuff affects us and it teaches us literally to disassociate what's in our hearts, in our minds from our bodies. Because if we were having to stay still and experience all that as it happened, we would probably have completely lost our minds for good. And so a lot of us have learned to not really trust the messages inside. We don't even go there. We're just looking outside to make sure that we're following by the rules we need to play so that our lives are going to go in a good way, which is a survival skill, not a thrival skill. Survival. If you want to thrive, you need to face and look into when you didn't listen. I was warned one night 3 times when I was 27 that if I left my apartment to take my boyfriend home, that I was going to be raped and robbed. Now, I literally heard that message. It came out of nowhere. And my body got chills, started getting nauseous. I kept trying to avoid it, push it aside because we were bickering. And I was so wanting that relationship to last that I couldn't even take seriously this crazy message inside because we were in a crazy battle. And my devotion and love to keep that relationship going was far more developed than my understanding and my need to listen to myself. And yes, I became victim to horrific, multiple violent crimes. That evening, I almost lost my life to that. After that, there was no way that I wasn't going to start to learn to listen to embody my intuition. Well, I was 27. I would love to tell you after that, I did it. It was all done. I mean, I was already a practicing therapist. I knew the odds after horrific trauma and rape that I would likely carry, depression and anxiety, PTSD. A lot of people take their lives after situations like that. I had to find a way through this. And as a clinician, I was trained, but I wasn't able to find for myself the thing that made me want to live again. I needed the joy. And that's when my passion for embodiment, movement, breath work, dance, micro movements, really small ones. I know the minute I said dance, some of you are like, oh, I'm not into this. You don't need to be. Little tiny movements, reconnecting, rewiring our bodies, our minds, and our hearts. So embodiment teaches us to rewire our intuition. And you're sitting here because something is off wire. Otherwise, you would have listened to your story and you'd already be in a new role. You'd be living the life you wanted. You would be unafraid of change. You would be a master of your own destination and direction. But you're here with me, and I've been here for a long time. Look, I'm 55 years old. I can't even tell you how amazing it is to be at this point. And it came from 31 years on fire, seeking solutions for others who suffer, like myself, to find how to put together a work that actually makes change. As a trained therapist, a shadow coach, a 5 rhythms teacher, a breathwork facilitator, mindfulness, somatic training, so many things were in my pot. And yet, it was still so hard to learn how to get embodied with that and actually break through. So I want to teach you right now a couple little tools that I like to talk about, which is that our bodies are our own guidance systems. And often when we don't listen to them, we get injured physically, emotionally, mentally. Think about how many times you've rolled your ankle because you weren't grounded, right? You were running, trying to get something, or you bumped your toe, or you banged your elbow or knee as you were running off because you weren't present. Grounding, presence, movement, and dance have been proven effective. In fact, in 2021, UCLA did a study on over 1,000 conscious freeform dancers with clinical histories of trauma, anxiety, and depression. Now, it significantly improved. Are you ready for this? 98% of them. This makes conscious freeform movement one of the most highly effective tools for trauma there is. In fact, I can tell you personally that I've offered clients counseling and coaching clients who I've been working with for years, I've invited them to step into the embodiment practice portion of my work, which a lot of times they say, I don't want to do that. I'm too embarrassed. I don't like movement. I'm not in good shape. I'm not comfortable with that. Let's just talk. But that really slows you down. And I'm trying to invite people to understand there is no other time but now. If you wait to feel better, that feeling often never comes. And I'm so tired of witnessing people continuing to suffer because they don't want to move. Now, I'm going to show you a couple simple things right now about listening to your body and moving. So I talked about how we'll wake up and sometimes just not be in our bodies. We're in our minds. So simply, the practice of every day getting into your body parts and asking them to be your meditation, bringing together your awareness with your body can make a difference. For instance, tuning in to your head, your neck and shoulders. I'm starting to move around. So if you took 3 minutes and actually join me right now, I invite you just to start to listen to your body. I want you to take a breath. I want you to feel your head, neck, and shoulders. And just notice, you don't have to copy my movements. Notice what's present for you. Notice if your cheeks are tight, you can massage them, your jaw, if you want to stick out your tongue and make a noise. Ah. If you haven't smiled, you might want to smile at yourself. It brings endorphins to you. Maybe you need to massage your head. Maybe you have pain in your neck or your shoulders. Take a few moments to start right now by listening. Physically, how is your head, neck, and shoulders? Take note. And give permission with a breath to allow that state to soften and relax. Nice deep breath into those spots. And I want you to nurture in permission right now to get present. One of my favorite teachers, Gabrielle Roth, used to say the head is filled with 100 pounds of bullshit. And when you let go of the monkey mind and just get present with it, it softens. So bring your mind into this present moment. Take a breath. Hi. If you stayed with me that long, we're gonna have some fun, so let's keep on going. I know some people just exited the screen, but I'm here for you who really want to break through. So take a moment, close your eyes now, and I want to invite you to just notice, does anything feel lighter? Take note. Take another breath. Give yourself permission to be aware. The other thing about change is if we are not aware of the tension we hold in our minds, our necks, our shoulders, or any part of our body for that matter, we can't change it. I can't tell you how many times I have shifted severe neck pain rather than going to the chiropractor or the acupuncture, simply by listening, playing with a little bit of movement and using my own fingers and my breath and my awareness all day long. It's gone. I know that sounds strange, but it is actually true. We can do this with our arms and hands and fingers as well, all day long. Some of you are typing, some of you are digging, some of you are feeling angry and you want to shake it out. Some of you need to fly and you are stuck. So you have the freedom. You can dance with your arms, hands, and fingers. These things are amazing. They give and they receive. Sometimes we are giving more than we're receiving. Sometimes we don't remember to hug ourselves, to touch ourselves, to nourish ourselves. This is another part of the body practice I do every day that can make a huge difference. Ask your body what it needs and listen. Take notes. Take 3 minutes with me right now. Just put on some flowing music or just stay right here, whatever you choose. I'm going to go with the silence for the moment and invite you just to notice, what do your hands, arms, and fingers want to do? Do they want to shake? Are they angry? Give them full permission to express whatever's inside them. They want to fix their hair, like I was. Whatever they need, be kind to them. And listen. And take note again as you shake and move them. Listen to them. Give yourself a hug. Massage yourself with them. Notice if they feel like they've been giving away too much. You might want to pull it back. Maybe you need to set a boundary with someone. Say no, yes. Whatever's there, give permission and listen. Imagine if you did that every morning. You asked, what do we need to do today? You're not asking your checklist on your calendar. You're taking a moment for you. You could take another moment and go into your core body. You can listen right now to your heart, your belly. Just take a note. Is it empty or full? Is your digestion working? Is your heart excited, scared, tight, open? Use your breath. Open your heart if you feel good to do that. Notice what's there. Maybe there's emotion stuck in them. Feel your belly. See how that's feeling? Check out your spine. Move it around. Your core body runs all the way from your sacrum all the way up to your throat. Inside are all your internal organs. So imagine this part of you is what is your internal information system. Outside of your mind, we've got everything else speaking in here. We've got our lungs, our heart, our digestion, our colon, our rib cage, our, all these, our genitals. All these parts of our body have so much information. And often we're just talking heads, walking around with our elbows and arms, feet, and heads. So imagine checking in every day. How does my core feel? You can move it, micro movements, bang your spine, shake your hips out. Our hips carry a lot of emotional energy. Whatever you need, take a few minutes to ask what is present here. Breathe into it, note it, write it down. Another tool for this moment. Our elbows and our knees are also teachers. They set boundaries, right? They march to either your beat or someone else's beat. They get out of situations. Give me some elbow room. They stomp, right? Our knees will stomp. They can also be fun and funky and play like a monkey. They can be creative, and they can also slow things down with their elbows and knees or push things away. We often injure our elbows and knees the most, and that's because our elbows connect us from the outside world to our inside. And if we are not in alignment with what we're giving or receiving, same with our knees, they connect us to the ground up into our core body. So if we are walking and not paying attention, walking through life in a way where we are not connected to our boundaries, our yeses and our nos, we're gonna get messages. So allow yourself for a moment just to notice, if you move your elbows and knees, what do they wanna tell you about your day? Who do you wanna push towards and away? What boundaries do you need to set? How playful do you need to be? Take a moment right now and do that. Notice what's present, take a breath. And then, of course, our feet. We walk on our feet all day long, right? So take a moment, walk around your space. Just go ahead, allow yourself to walk around your space. And just notice, what is the pace of your walk? Do you feel grounded? Do you feel like sludging through your world right now? Do you feel like skating around? Do you feel like salsa dancing? What do your feet want to do? Do they want to skip? Do they want to run? Do they want to jog? Do they want to trudge? Let them express their emotional self. Do you need to massage them because they're hurting? Right now, take a moment to be with your feet. Just ask, what do they need from you today? Do they need you to slow your pace down, pick your pace up, allow yourself to have fun? When we get present in our feet, we actually have the opportunity to change our direction. Maybe we've been walking in circles and we can consciously go, I'm gonna take a different route today. In fact, I'm gonna literally make a change. I'm gonna walk a different route to work, or I'm going to make a decision, or I'm going to slow down and stop trying so hard. Your feet will give you a lot of information. So imagine if even you did that much per day to get embodied, you're gonna get different information than if you listen to anyone out there telling you what to do with your life. And this information is connected to your deepest inner guidance. Now, if you don't believe me, let me tell you that it has been proven, not only around dancing, but around breath work, around trauma in general, that body-based healing is what changes the game. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, very famous, wrote, "The body keeps the score," because the body keeps the score, yes. And essentially, he has also said that somatic practices, movement, breath, dance are the most effective for trauma. Why am I talking about trauma? Maybe you're not even here for trauma. So I want to redefine trauma as anything that is keeping you stuck. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and she said, well, I really love everything you wrote in your book, but I don't like to dance, and I didn't have the kind of trauma you had. And I said, oh, but you did. I said, it might not have been the kind of trauma I had, but you had emotional and mental challenges from experiences, and those stay in your body. So you're right. And then another of my cousins say, well, I'm not a dancer. I think about running that way. And I'm like, great, I love running. I go jogging all the time. And it is different than actually learning to move with your feelings. So when I talk about embodiment, I'm not just talking about dancing for dancing's sake or going to a club, dancing lessons. That's super fun. It's great. Gives you oxytocin. Love it. But I'm talking about learning to move with your feelings, to dive into them and actually to feel yourself as you move. Now, most of you are like, well, where am I going to do that? Well, that's where I can tell you. I've developed some incredible programs I'll tell you about later. What will teach you just that. This step about listening to ourselves in our bodies and releasing our emotions from our bodies, not just our minds, not just our stories, is often the gap I see missing in thousands of people's lives. And when I help them shift that gap, I watch people go from addict to famous on the screen. I helped a dear friend do that. So the reality is your choice to be willing to go into this deep stuff, it's up to you. The power is in your control. But we do need a guide. You know, it's like the dance is within you, but if no one teaches you that, you have a story that you need something else but you. But you are the best friend you've been looking for. And that comes to the other piece of embodiment I love to talk to folks about, which is our breath. Our breath is, I'm going to say this, if you haven't met your breath before, I like to take a breath and say, I'm so sorry I haven't paid any attention to you. Because right now I want you to know that take a breath and release it. That right there is your best friend. It has been with you since the moment you entered your body, and literally it will be the last thing you know of when you leave your body. Your breath can be your greatest ally. Because often when we are in our heads spinning in stories, we are not breathing, we are not grounded, and we are not present. And our breath is an amazing way to get us into presence. And naturally, when we are moving in the present moment with dance and our feelings, the breath aligns and we can catch up to ourselves. And all the stuff that's stuck inside our tissues get out. So, your breath. So for a moment, I'd like to just invite you to take a moment to just feel that. I want you to take one breath in for 4 counts. I'll do this with you. And release. Again, breathing in. And release. Again, breathing in. And release. And just close your eyes. Notice if you feel a little more present. I've been sharing a lot of information, been having a lot of thoughts and feelings, so we're going to do one more round of this. Breathing in And release 4 breaths. Breathing in. And release 4 breaths. Breathing in. Four breaths out. Last one, breathing in. And release. And close your eyes now, or stay staring at me on the screen, whatever you choose. But I want you to notice how you feel. Do you feel more present, more relaxed, quieted in any way? The more we practice this, the more we become present. And it also releases tension from your body. So these, I've taught a little bit right now, just showed you a little bit about the different kinds of micro movements and practices you can start to, right even at this moment, use to get more embodied in the present moment. Often the work around trauma sometimes requires a safe other, but as I said, I have a program that I'm so excited to share with you about that allows you to do this in your own home, in your privacy with guidance. I developed this, I want to talk about COVID and the pandemic. So I've been teaching tons and tons of dance classes, both in this space all over the world, in the largest space in Chico, California as well. And during the pandemic, for various reasons, I needed to avoid a lot of exposure. I really wanted to be present for my elder parents who I would need to fly to at any moment, with my father nearing his time of passing. And as a single mom at the time, I needed to really be able to show up for my kid because no one had my back. So pandemic was a time to go inward. And one of the things I did is I established a lot of online dance platforms, but most importantly for me personally and for the work that I'm so excited about is I remembered that how I transformed so much of my trauma was on my own in a studio I would rent in San Francisco that I would go every day to. And I would go in there and I would move the rage. As soon as the music came on, I would start to move and I'd feel the rage and I'd let it out. The tears would come out. I couldn't get them out at any other time, but the music and the beauty and the movement and no one being there was my space. And then I would find joy. I'd be spinning in circles, just finding joy. And I'd stare at myself in the mirror. And after all the horrific things that happened to me, I would feel hope that maybe I would be whole again, beautiful again, lovable again. Well, I spent years doing that. And that's part of why I developed this studio. And of course, once you get larger in something, I've been teaching and offering. And when I go to dances, I love to light people up and help them get there. So when I go to dance for myself, I get to go back into my practice. And when the pandemic hit, I realized I needed to develop courses that used that solo practice so people could really take the breath and the movement and the dance back into their home space for the deeper level of trauma that sometimes dance classes, clubs, and communities don't really hold. And even if they do, maybe it's not the place where you can go into your most profound listening. So we talked about listening to the stories and starting to excavate them. And there's more, there around our generational family trees and all the places that still line up with why we're still stuck today. And then there's the embodiment piece. Now, when we actually merge those two together, we start to get unstuck. And for the first time, we can walk out of victimhood and we can become the actress and the actor and take the action on the stage of our life that we have been waiting to take. The one that's scary, the one that you're not sure you can do alone. You no longer feel alone because when you have your inner listening back and your body back, you might feel a little bit of loneliness once in a while, but you don't feel alone because you are so deeply with you, so committed to you that you are no longer going to stay small in scenarios that are less than what you want for yourself, for your family, for your life, and you get the courage. And I help people get the courage to take the smart, strategic, powerful steps to live the life they want to and take action. I remember a moment in my life my son's dad had made the decision at some point that he didn't think we could stay together, married, and I was devastated. I was really, really committed to that relationship, as I believe he was as well. But he had done a real clear point with himself and said, I don't think that you bring out the best in me or I bring out the best in you. And I think that our traumas, we've done a lot of therapy, they just aren't colliding well. And he said, I think, he waited till I would agree, but ultimately I felt victimized by his decision to end the relationship. All I wanted was my family to remain intact. It was like my whole wish, right? So I went into victim stance for quite a while. And it wasn't until I realized that he was right. I actually did do better without him. I needed reflections from people who could love me as I was, who could accept and embrace the strange pieces of my own eccentricities, right? We all have them. We all have histories, and some of ours work better with others, and some don't. Doesn't mean that you're wrong or bad if it doesn't work out. Of course, we want it to work out, but I came to accept that I loved myself, and I could be with someone who loved me. That someone at the moment is me. And so when I hit that stance, I started making changes in my life. How I dressed, I realized I had changed. How I looked to please him. I actually like how I look now better than I did when I was young because I'm having fun being me. My home, I changed to represent me more. I started hanging out, meeting new people. I started doing new things. I started exploring and believing in myself again. And ultimately, I'm living every dream that I set out to live. It's an incredible feeling. And that couldn't have happened if I remained victim in that story. I became the actress. So that is the next stage. And sometimes that stage is frightening. So we have to really, really, really get clear on, are you ready for change? And if you say, I am, but it's not happening, I'm going to challenge you to come back to looking into what is stuck in your body that's blocking you and what stories are you holding on to. And so that is the A in lead, listening, embodiment, acting. And ultimately, we're going to hit a point where we become the director of our myth, the dream maker. And I've had quite a few incidents where that became so profoundly clear. I can do anything, and I know you can too. This is not me being special at all. It is within you. I had this experience that blew my mind, that I truly had healed my embodiment. And that is a moment where not only was I acting my life, but I decided to direct in a very interesting way. I heard a voice, a guide, a body sensation telling me there was a dangerous person coming towards me. And rather than denying it, for the first time in my life, not only did I believe it and take action, but I directed the whole experience. I became larger than life, like I was in a movie. And when this person walked by me, I waited. He kept going by, and I waited, and I gathered all my energy, super intense, like a she-bear. And I heard, he's coming at you again. I turned, he was about to jump me, and I got so big, and I was like, what are you doing? I'm on the phone with the police, giving them your location. Get away from me now. I was so much larger than life. I was so full of conviction. The guy looked at me and ran down the park into the bushes. Now, I was right. That guy was about to jump me, and I saved not only my life, but likely someone else's. I directed that. I didn't just take action and run away. I owned my power and trusted that I was protected by the love that is within myself that you will find when you re-embody yourself. A lot of what happens when we get trauma is we lose this magical love for ourselves because we've tucked our magical self away because that part was no longer safe. We get it back and we bring the magic back into our life. So how do you want to direct your myth? How do you want to live your years out? There's a few things I've recognized. Time is short. The only time we have is now. And we are all imperfect. You know, as a little girl, I had a class assignment where we had to write book covers and stories. I think it was like 3rd grade. And the book I wrote was called Nobody's Perfect. Whoop, hello. Nobody's perfect as I squeak on my doggy's hot dog. Nobody's perfect. I'm gonna do silly things on a video in front of thousands. I'm okay with that. Are you? Being our authentic self is perfect because you have a gift in there. And until you embrace your perfectly imperfect self, you can't lead the myth you were born to lead, because no one is like you. And your special sauce, your magic is what's needed. So I wrote this book, Nobody's Perfect, in 3rd grade. But it didn't fully revolutionize itself to the point where I believed I could do anything till later in my life. Now, that would have happened a lot earlier if I had had these tools that I'm offering, not only in my book, The Love Ball Game, but in a course that I'm going to introduce you to. So I wrote that book, which I thought was very funny. I remember that I always knew that I loved music. I loved communicating on a telephone. Back in the day, you had to dial up. It was like a special thing. And all those things became part of what I was meant to teach. But in the looping of how life threw me, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I had to find my way back. And I'd love to shortcut that for you. I want to tell you about this incredible offer I have. I have quite a few offers. So one is called The Love Ball Game. It's a 6-month coaching practice process. It's all online, but you'll also get 2 individual sessions with me per month over the 6 months. And it is tailored and customized to exactly the journey you need. And in 6 months, you'll be moving from your dugout to your fulfillment, running your home runs, hitting your home plate. Now, included in that course are 2 other options. If you want something a little less intensive, I have a little 6-week survival kit called Grounding Your Way Through Fear. And it has just little mini daily embodiment practice videos, a journal, some awareness practices, and a weekly lesson. It won't take you more than 10 minutes a day to start practicing what I'm talking about in a really fun way. Now, if you want to go deeper, rise up and dance with me. That's what I'm pointing to. That sign says, rise up and dance. I have an online course that is about way more than dance, but yes, in order to do this, you will need to commit to a movement practice in your own home. Now, movement can mean you're rolling around on the floor and stretching the whole time. You don't have to dance. You don't have to be in shape for this. You just have to say, I want to develop a better relationship to my body, my mind, and my heart, and my self-care. This is a 3-month course. It's all online with guided movement lessons each week, journals, accountability. It's incredible. It's a 12-week course, and you can go on my website and read the testimonials. Changing lives, so amazing. And I will have a group option once a week as well for a group call in that course. And grab the Love Ball Game, or feel free. I've got some online dance and movement courses and breath work, all sorts of things, and regular coaching sessions. If you're interested to take a look, I'll leave the links for you. But what I want to share right at this moment is my gratitude. Reality is, I'm amazed that my life has taken me to this moment. I did not foresee it. I'm not someone who was really comfortable on camera. I am not someone who wanted to be big and known. I was someone, and always have been someone, that's been working in my community, trying to help people fall in love with themselves again. Self-care, release depression, get in better relationships, love their bodies, find their passion, find their purpose. And I've been doing that for 31 years so effectively, but I knew what was behind the curtain was no one knew all the stories within me. And that if I didn't share more deeply who I was, I couldn't reach all of you. I had to get a book out. I had to start speaking. I have so many more stories to share that I haven't even touched. It's a one step at a time process, but I am more alive right now because of it. What was stopping me? Being seen, imperfect, authentic. I'm having the best time of my lives, and I want to help you do that too. My name is Jassia Cornwaz. I'm a master embodied soul coach, and I cannot wait to help you lead your life to fulfillment and embody your intuition. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to book a call with you. Talk soon.